This is my 2003 Subaru Baja, and it has been with the channel from the very beginning. Since then, I've performed many different modifications to improve its off-road capabilities, but the one problem I've never been able to remedy is its serious lack of power. I've even tried to address the problem with some simple bolt-on parts, with marginal success. And after all the mods, there's no getting around the stock EJ 2.5 motor. The Baja is just too heavy, let alone the head gaskets just went out for the second time. In all of this, calling for my Subaru's biggest transformation yet, it's time for a motor swap. Meet the donor car. This is a 2002 Subaru Outback LL Bean Edition, and as you can see, it has had an extremely tough life. But where this car really shines is its drivetrain. It has a low mileage 3.0 H6 motor, making it the perfect candidate for the Battle Baja swap, and this is Adventure GT. Before we get too excited and jump into this motor swap, the very first thing we're going to do is go to a shop and get the AC system evacuated. We don't need to be known as those guys that vent refrigerant into the atmosphere. It only takes a few minutes out of your day, and it's a win for everybody. It's also one less mess you will have to deal with, so just get it done. Now with that out of the way, we are officially ready to begin this massive project. The Subaru Outback and the Baja were both built on a legacy platform, so the vast majority of this swap will be just moving everything over, and I mean everything from the Outback. To make this easier on ourselves, we're going to remove the Baja stuff first, then transfer the Outback stuff as we need it. I cannot stress this enough. Organization is maximum level important. This is by no means a simple job, so I highly recommend taking the extra time to catalog each step and bolt as you move along. The result will be a smooth transition and you will thank yourself in the future. It's best if you label all your lines and electrical connections with tape and marker. Also, it does help to take as many pictures as you possibly can. This will make the reassembly process a lot easier. I chose to keep a notebook handy, and I wrote down every step from the beginning to the end to also benefit my reassembly process. It is super helpful to leave the bolts in their home location. If you cannot, then tag them and bag them and leave them in an organized space. So before I get too far, one thing I forgot to mention is you're going to have a lot of fuel pressure in your lines, in your filters, and all of that. So you should pull your fuel pump relay fuse or disconnect your fuel pump and start the car. Let it die on itself. Try to start it so that there's no pressure, no fuel in your lines, because if you try to disconnect those, you're going to spray everything with fuel. So do that like second. So by this point, we've got the motor pretty much disconnected from everything and it's ready to pull. But I'm actually going to remove the engine and transmission as one piece. So the transmission fluid is drained, or the gear oil is drained, and the rear diff oil is drained. I gotta pop some axles out, disconnect the drive shaft. Oh, I forgot to disconnect the exhaust. So disconnect the exhaust, and then I believe it's time to remove the drivetrain. Once that's all out of the way, I'm gonna freshen up the engine bay just a little bit. Might as well do some home maintenance, clean up some of the rust, and then it's time to start on the Outback. Things are not so great in the Baja world, and when you really start digging into a job, you can see just how great they actually are. Rust is always crazy in this thing, like that's just really disappointing to find out. Really got to stay on top of rust with these cars. Okay, so I think I have about 12 hours into this, and I know you can yank a Subaru motor out way faster than that, but I also took the interior apart, pulled the carpet out, had to disconnect the axles because I'm bringing the transmission out with it. So obviously you guys could do this way faster, but as for me, I'm probably in that 12-hour range. But yeah, we can disconnect those transmission mounts, yank this motor out there, and keep steamrolling this. I think I got 7 more days to finish this swap and be on schedule. So woo! So we're coming up on day 3 now, and as you can see from last night, I got the engine pulled, transmissions pulled. I still have to redo the rear axles and the rear end. But also the dash is out and all the wiring is out. Basically, except for the rear end, the Baja is stripped, which is great news, or bad news, because I'm already 3 days into it and still so much work to go. Anyways, so now we're gonna move over to the H6 Outback. Plenty of work to do over there yet. Basically haven't even started on that one yet, but it's basically just gonna be just like this one. Axles, exhaust, drive shaft, disconnect the engine, disconnect the transmission, yank it out. I hope to get that done by the end of the day today, but who knows, we'll see. So that's the current plan. So I don't know how I'm gonna edit this in, but here's a little update. Dashboard removed. I'm actually going to film the process of removing the Outback dash, but from what I've understood, the easiest way to make all this happen is remove everything from the Baja and then transfer from the Outback to the Baja as you need it. So basically, we're at the same spot we were the other day, except with the H6 now. The rear end is completely detached, transmission detached. There's a jack underneath. There's a jack underneath the transmission to get it up over these motor mounts. These are the attachment points I will be using because they are heavily bolted to the block. And this little loop back here may not look like much, but it actually is pretty well reinforced. It's the same little loop that I used on the Baja's engine. So I'm not actually gonna film yanking this out because I already filmed it on the Baja. So yeah, I'll just like put a little doodly thing in the background and keep going. Pizza time. Pizza time. Oh yeah. Dude, I'm so glad you're here. This job is kicking my ass. Hey, do you want to help?
Good luck, I'm out.
So this definitely took a lot longer than I was expecting it to, unfortunately. But since the Baja has the motor out, I think it's time to do some proper house cleaning. It does have quite a bit of rust that is kind of hiding away when all the accessories are plugged in. So, well, since the motor is out, I'm going to replace some of the maintenance components, spark plugs, valve cover gaskets, maybe some pulleys. Since I have this thing already out, now is the best time to do it. As the Baja is my daily driver, I won't spend too much longer on the cleaning aspect of it, but I definitely want to clean up some of what's going on. And I definitely need to do some maintenance items on the H6 because working on this motor while it's inside the engine bay is ridiculous. So get as much done as we can while the motor is out of the car. Sound like a plan? Alright dudes, so I think that's going to be a wrap on episode 1. Still so much work left to do. I gotta move that dash over here. Power steering lines need to come over here. Found out those are different. Unfortunately, that was the easy part. Next is merging the wire harness. Hopefully that won't be too bad. I guess sticking this motor in is also gonna be a pain in the butt too. Anyways, episode 2 on the way, and this is Jake. I'll catch you later.